Did it turn around for you later on? Is it still the same? I'm going to be 24 in less than a month, and it has me realizing how behind I am. Half of my 20s are almost over, and it feels like I missed out heavily on a big chunk of my youth in terms of romantic experiences. I see many couples younger than me in my area, and it sometimes makes me feel bad. I can't lie. I'm not naive enough to believe all relationships are perfect, but I never expected perfection in the first place. I know things get messy, I know they take effort, I know there are arguments and conflicts sometimes, but I never thought there would not be challenges in a relationship. As long as it is not abusive or toxic, I would take the general challenges that come with most relationships over complete nothingness any time of the week. Was this the experience of any of you in your 20s? Or maybe you are in your 20s right now going through it too. It feels like I have been doing everything in my power to change my situation to no avail, and it is difficult at a certain age. Story 1. Dating has always been difficult. I am 25 years old. That is just part of being an average man. Nothing really stands out about you. Story 2. Turning 30 was a significant change for me. My teens and early 20s were difficult in terms of relationships because I struggled with mental health issues, including low confidence. At 25 years old, I gave up on pursuing relationships and focused on improving myself through therapy, working out, and building my career. I lost my virginity at age 30 when I re-entered the dating scene. Suddenly, I was having sex multiple times a week and receiving consistent messages from women. However, I entered a strange phase where it was easy to find casual relationships but difficult to find someone interested in building an emotional connection. It does get better. Story 3. I didn't date until my mid-20s. I'm 35 now. I have had a pretty good dating life and have been in a stable relationship for a long time now. We are buying a house together. We are likely to stay together long-term, possibly forever. But if I ever become single again, I would be pretty confident in starting and learning again. I spent a lot of time thinking and learning about sociability and what it means to be attractive. Turns out it is very much a verb, not an adjective. I completely revamped my social life. Here are the biggest tips I can give you now, as a random person procrastinating at work. Your ability to socialize, for example, having a relaxed conversation with someone not just at a house party, but at a bus stop or in line somewhere, will have a linear impact on your ability to date. Dating requires a pretty big base of skill sets, and it is not necessarily the same as the base for a relationship. You will have to learn them and practice each one individually. As for where to find information, your best info will come from people who date women. Obviously, it is very important to get a woman's perspective on dating to avoid imbalance. However, in terms of how to actually do it, it has to come from people who are experienced with dating and having relationships as a man. Be very careful and ruthless about what you consume. If the content makes you angry, step back until you can calm down and assess whether the information or opinions actually help you get dates or have good dates, or if they have a cultural agenda. The most important guardrail I can share is this. If you become a bitter person, you will end your days alone. Avoid this at every possible cost, over literally everything else. Story 4. I am 46 years old and have never had a chance to meet anyone because my life has always been dominated by complications related to my epilepsy. Story 5. I am 29 years old and still have no luck with women. I do not try either because I do not think I am good enough. I have been in this state since I was 17. Do everything you can to be more attractive physically and emotionally. Story 6. I have become more confident, started exercising, bought a house, paid off my car, and am succeeding in my career. It turns out that a man who is organized and responsible is attractive to women in their 30s. Story 7. It turned around, but I am not sure it is better. I thought I would be a more attractive prospect for maturing, growing into myself, working hard, and building my relationships with people, treating people well. It seems like the turnaround is just the good decisions I have made this whole time can help me now, and not, wow, what a well-rounded man you are whose life I would like to be a part of. Sobering. It is like, oh, now I am useful. Story 8. Teens to 20s, no women. 30s to 40s. Could not stop getting laid. 40s and older, married. The big difference. started going to a therapist, landed a steady professional job, and stopped messing around with my life. Story 9. I went on my first date when I was 27, and my total dating experience since then adds up to about a year and a half. I am 34 now. The last time I had sex was almost 3.5 years ago, the last date I went on was almost a year ago, and the last time I was rejected was today. My experience now is awful. Story 10. From a pure logistics side, it is much harder to meet single women. I especially took college for granted in that aspect. I work in a heavily male-dominated field, and many of my hobbies are introverted in nature. I have taken to picking up new hobbies that I find interesting and going to meetups, which is better than nothing. However, my personal experience is that these events are often full of couples. That in itself is not bad, as they can set you up if they like you and think you might match with another friend of theirs, but I have not had a great date come out of that yet. Dating applications are difficult. Everyone knows this, but they are currently the source of most romantic attention I have received. Story 11. Honestly, I kind of stopped caring by age 25 or 26. Now I just do my own thing. I've been trying all kinds of new hobbies, traveling, and working to advance my career. Next month, I start a new job where I work 2 weeks abroad and then have 2 weeks off, so I will have even more time to do things. Story 12. My luck changed with women when I stopped caring about luck with women. After a girlfriend cheated on me and left with a third man, I decided I would never be in a relationship again. I no longer cared about women's feelings. Suddenly, women were showing interest in me. I was not better looking, I did not have more money, and I was barely employed at the time. But being unattainable somehow became a challenge to women. Go figure. Story 13. If you are not lifting weights, start now. It will build your confidence like almost nothing else. It also has the bonus of making you look more physically attractive. Story 14. Didn't change. Dating applications helped me get more dates than I did the traditional way, but nothing ever materialized beyond that. The only major change is that I feel more at ease with the situation. Story 15. I was okay in my teens and 20s. I just got in my own way because I had severe acne and self-doubt. It wasn't until I turned 27 that I said enough is enough and took control of my own mind. Contrary to popular belief, you are not behind. Most young men behind the scenes are inexperienced with women. Don't get it twisted. It's not a race. Women aren't going anywhere. Stop focusing on other people's problems and worry about yourself and what you can fix and control every day. I long for the days when I was alone, struggling with luck with women. Once you do get them, they come with many other annoyances and challenges. Get ready because the other side is not an amazing party all the time. Keep plugging away and be better every day. Stay positive. Your time is coming, and it will be here before you know it. Story 16. It evens out. In your early 20s, women have the advantage and they are aware of it. Single men who have their lives together have more options after age 25. Unless you get married, the government will reward her for being a bad partner, which encourages her to do exactly that. Story 17. Between 15 and 22, I had very little luck with women. I finally met someone and we got married. We stayed together for 18 years. Then we separated and I found myself on the market at 40. It turns out I had much better results meeting women in my early 40s. Story 18. Forget luck. Learn to play in the most lighthearted sense of the world. Who cares about external authorities? Romance is living the essence of a dreamy life for your inner child. What does little r/ODB95 think of 24-year-old r/ODB95? Listen and learn to date, love, and romance that little self. Maybe the luck with women changes. The point is it won't matter. I'll tell you from experience, women are attracted to playfulness and being in your own world of joy. Get it? You are worthy of fun no matter what. Story 19. I was hopeless with women until I was about 30. Then it was like someone flipped a switch and suddenly I was in demand. I am pretty shy and introverted, but I have never had an issue making friends with men or women. I just could never cross the threshold into romantic interest. Apparently, getting into shape, learning to dress with intentional style, picking up new hobbies, getting a better job, and buying a house were enough to push me over the edge. Story 20. I had no game because I was obsessed with winning when I was younger. Now that I am not stressing about it and just having fun, it is much better. Of course, it was a different landscape back then. Story 21. I stumbled into a couple of relationships in my teens and early 20s, but didn't really learn to date until my mid-20s. From 25 to 35, I was pretty consistently dating, with relationships lasting 1 to 2 years. I met my wife at 36, and we are still together at 45. It gets easier, especially when you're out of school and have control over who is in your social circle. Story 22. At 31, I have mostly stopped trying. If anything, I am better at noticing when women are interested, but I just do not have the energy to chase anymore. If I ever get into a relationship at this point, it will have to feel very natural and require clear and direct communication from her. Story 23. I was a virgin at 18, a geek with no luck with women. I decided to change things around and watched videos on Pickup by Todd V. I went to bars and clubs. Now, I am 24 and have kissed maybe 30 beautiful girls in my life. I had two-year non-exclusive relationships. I am not the best, but I am improving steadily. I am Chinese and 5 feet 7 inches tall, by the way. You can improve if you want. You can direct message me if you need advice on what to do. I am not a coach, but I was where you are at some point in my life. Story 24. Did fine in high school, was totally alone for 6 years after. I got fit, got my life together, got a good job, and life was good again. Story 25. I am going to be 24 in less than a month, and it has me realizing how behind I am. Half of my 20s are almost over, and it feels like I missed out heavily on a big part of my youth in terms of romantic experiences. I see many couples younger than me in my area, and it sometimes makes me feel bad. I have amazing news for you. Whoever said the 20s are the best years of your life is either lying or never had to work entry-level jobs. My late 20s, around 28 to 29, into my mid to late 30s, have easily been the best years of my life. The relationships are better, the mistakes are fewer, and I can spend my money on basically anything I want. Story 26. 33 million teenagers and those in their early 20s had no success. I actually had more success in my mid to late 20s than I do now, but that success was not exactly fulfilling as I was dating anyone who paid attention to me. These days I have fewer options, but it is mostly because I am far more selective about who I date. You are at the perfect age for dating, so you will be fine. Do not stress about it too much and avoid putting pressure on yourself. If there is anything that will kill your chances, it is stress and desperation. Story 27. 29-year-old male. Feels like it has actually gotten worse with time. Looking back, I was unaware and missed many hints from women but still managed to go on dates with some interesting people. Both aspects have decreased over the last few years. Oh well. Story 28. I did not have a girlfriend in high school and lost my virginity at 21. By the time I was 25, I had 2 sexual relationships. By the time I was 40, it was more than 70. By the time I was 45, I was done trying to form romantic relationships because I realized I had very poor judgment in women. I removed the rose-colored glasses to see how many of the women I was attracted to and attracting were displaying red flags. I decided to focus that effort on improving myself. Story 29. I think dating applications have really changed the dating scene. I had many options during my younger years before dating applications. Note that I was broke and short. Even then, it was not difficult to find dates. With dating applications, the physical and financial requirements from modern women are extreme now. They are only chasing after the top percentage of men. It is much harder for the current generation of men to get dates. Story 30. 28 was my big turning point. Both because I got my first real girlfriend around 25, breaking up at 28, and because I moved from the small town I grew up in to a real metropolitan area where there are single women ready to date. Story 31. So I had luck with women from my late teens through my 20s, a different girl every few months. However, my longest relationship was 3 or 4 months. Every partner was either abusive, using me, or didn't care. A lot of this I have had to work through in therapy, and it still affects me today. When I was 29, I started dating my best friend. We had been friends for 10 years prior, but nothing more. Then things clicked. We have now been together for 7 months. She is without doubt the love of my life and makes me a much better person. She knows about my trauma and is understanding when it causes me to react strangely. She reassures me when I struggle and has helped me get the help I need. I want to be the best version of myself for her. Do I wish we had reached this point earlier? Yes. But if it wasn't for the difficulties in between, we might never have gotten here. So it's never too late. Sometimes things just work. I'm just an awkward nerd, but that totally works for some people. Story 32. Pretty much no success until about age 26. Afterwards, it was not like the floodgates opened, but things started happening. There was some small return on investment with the effort I put in. I had plenty of learning experiences that made me feel equipped in my 30s. Now, things are going great with my girlfriend moving in soon. Story 33. I did not date until I was in my 30s. I just did not want to. I was able to do fairly well, all things considered. Story 34. I had my first everything at 25. I dated for 5 years and then we broke up. I have been single ever since. The sting of the breakup was too much for me to go through again. I wish I had success when I was younger so I could have at least gone through breakups before. Story 35. I did not have a girlfriend and only had 4 dates in high school. In my mid-20s, I gave up. A friend invited me to a party hosted by his wife. I met a cute girl there. My friend and his wife encouraged us to go on a few mutual dates, and then we continued from there. We have been married for 41 years, and it has been wonderful. She is in the kitchen making chocolate chip cookies. She is pretty wonderful. Story 36. I was 18 when I got my first girlfriend through Tinder of all places. I can communicate well over text, but I have a hard time meeting people, especially women, in person. At least on Tinder, I knew the person I was connecting with wanted something. After a week of talking, we went on a first date and were hooked on each other. Felt like we had known each other for years. 7 years later, we are getting married. Story 37. I was seemingly repulsive to women in my teens and early 20s, as I and my entire nuclear family had undiagnosed autism and never received training on how to socialize in a manner that was not obnoxious. My older cousin, who works with children on the autism spectrum professionally, saw this and stepped up to teach me how to navigate society and blend in. I am 30 now and have had a significant improvement. I am much more sociable, not too overweight, and have returned to graduate school to pursue a more profitable career. My best years, when I was most attractive, were 3 years ago when I worked at a startup and was about 50 pounds lighter. A really cute colleague of mine would frequently flirt with me, though nothing happened because she was in a relationship. This would never have been possible when I was in high school or undergraduate school. Story 38. Only if you are wealthy will it be different. Despite what people say about personality and social skills, they are not the determining factors. Story 39. From 2019 to 2023 were very dry years for me. Then the most beautiful girl I had ever laid my eyes on made it clear that she was very into me. After that, I figured if she was attracted to me, I have a potential shot with almost anyone. Story 40. I lost my virginity when I was 20 to the partner I am still with, and I will turn 30 in a couple of weeks. Looking back, I had a few opportunities, but I was in a dark headspace and rejected any interest I received from women. To be honest, if my partner and I had never met, I would probably still be single and a virgin. Story 41. I am still in my early 20s, but I was playing on a harder difficulty until I grew a beard. Now, people tell me I look like a woodsman, which I am, and girls like it a lot now that I have the length and thickness. Story 42. Hey man, I can relate. I was in the same situation in my 20s. As an Asian man who wasn't tall, wealthy, or conventionally attractive, I felt like the odds were against me. I didn't have any luck with women in my teens or early 20s either. I used to be socially awkward, had no dating experience, and felt invisible. But things changed when I stopped making excuses and took control of my dating life. I worked on my social skills, learned strategies, and built my confidence from the ground up. Fast forward, I've been able to date women I once thought were out of my league, and I've helped thousands of men do the same. The thing is, you can either let this feeling of being behind crush you, or you can let it motivate you. Trust me, it's not too late. 24 is still young, and if you're willing to put in the work, you can completely change your dating life. You don't have to waste your 20s like I did. Focus on building your confidence, learning to read social cues, and putting yourself out there. It's uncomfortable at first, but the more you push through it, the more your mindset and results will improve. You got this. Story 43. Surprisingly enough, they did not care for me then, and they do not care for me now. I had a brief period between 27 and 29 when I was making good money and had women all over me. But that dried up when COVID-19 hit, and it has been quiet ever since. Story 44. I was so insecure about myself as a teenager that I did not react immediately when girls showed interest, and I missed my opportunities by the time I noticed. I have not dated much, but I have made many connections, and there are moments when I can tell whether someone is interested in me as more than a friend. I recently ended a 6-year relationship and have chosen to be celibate for recovery from sex addiction. I am sure I will meet people along the way who will be charmed by me or want to get to know me. Story 45. In my teens, I was repulsive to women. In my 20s, I was still unattractive, but I put much more emphasis on growth, particularly by completing my education in my early 20s and putting a great deal of effort into my career in my mid to late 20s. Also, in my late 20s, I finally dropped the extra weight I had been carrying since playing high school and college football, becoming much slimmer. Now in my 30s, I am still an undateable loser with no prospects. All the effort expended, while undoubtedly positive for myself, has not changed anything at all when it comes to my attractiveness. This is fine, I suppose, but it is a bit sad in a way. Story 46. Female here. If you are in a small town with only locals versus a bigger city, this limits your options. If you can't move, at least visit the largest nearby city and be yourself. You might meet your exact match. I have always noticed you can be yourself more easily when the people around you don't know you. You can reinvent yourself and build your confidence that way. I have seen it work. I have also seen guys like you do just fine the more you work on yourself and stay positive. Hang in there. Yes, it gets better if you focus on yourself first. Don't stop improving. Story 47. Yes, it turned around. It really does get better when you get older. Take the time now to learn about what you like and do not like. Do not spend any more time trying to change your situation. Forget about women for the time being and work on yourself and getting what you want and need. Story 48. As a former Pentecostal, my teens and early 20s were shaped by a very distorted, shame-based religious perspective. I did not try to date until my mid-20s and used dating apps, but it did not work out and caused me to feel worthless. Eventually, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I gave up completely, deleted all the apps, and never tried dating again. There was a brief long-distance relationship with a friend for a couple of months, but that was about it. For the most part, I associate finding people attractive with feeling shame. I am also financially struggling now, so it feels inappropriate to start trying. Story 49. It starts getting better. Watch out for predators and avoid careless or intoxicated individuals. They can undo all the work you have done on yourself and your improvement in just a few months. Story 50. Yeah, it turns around. About this, I wish I knew the following in my 20s. Most other people's bad behavior comes from their own sense of fear, shame, or guilt. Focus on addressing yours, and you will attract those who are the same. Story 51. I wasn't completely hopeless as a teenager. I lost my virginity at 17, but I was pretty dateless. I only had 2 situationships in college. One with a girl who was more into me than I was into her, and she eventually gave up. The other with a girl I liked who did the same to me, except I didn't give up. She got with another guy. Then I joined the Peace Corps at 25 and had a few flings with women who were very open about their sexuality. I fell in love with my best friend, but the feeling was not mutual. I asked her to marry me, and then she left me for another guy. After 2 years, I left the Peace Corps and went through a year-long dry spell. I had a girlfriend for about 6 months in 2021, but we had serious mutual incompatibilities. I basically led her to break up with me. I was relieved at the time, but grew to regret it later. I went through another year-long dry spell and then had another girlfriend. She ended things due to other reasons, but we remained friends. I dated a lot over the last couple of years and joined the United States Air Force Reserve as an officer. However, I reached my limit with part-time service. My finances suffered, and at 31, I moved back in with my parents while I reoriented myself. Now, at 32, I really want to date again. While working both as a reservist and for my state government job, I am paying off accumulated bills and saving money while exploring other opportunities. Until I gain solid footing, I probably can't date anyone with serious expectations right now. Story 52. I have had luck with younger women liking me as I get older. 18 to 21-year-olds seem to prefer men aged 25 to 30. I have noticed an increase in age differences between young women and older men, with most women preferring men up to 10 years older rather than men their own age. Also, for the younger age group, having a relationship with women makes you a more attractive catch. Story 53. Well, you either pick your poison. You get a girl, but she is not comparable to you. Girls' standards are high. Maybe you do not reach that certain threshold of attractiveness. Girls will get closer to you if you have a certain level of attractiveness. That is the reality of the world. Story 54. I have a good job, good money, and a good wardrobe. I am in the best shape of my life. I have better pictures of myself available. I am always traveling and exploring the city. Anyone who knows me can confirm that I am well put together. It has not helped me at all with women my own age in their 20s, but women in their 30s find me very attractive. Story 55. Original poster, trust me, at 24, you are not behind. A lot of people made poor decisions and are getting divorced at 24 because they felt behind. Enjoy your 20s and experience everything you can. Build up your body, your savings, and your confidence. Eventually, it will all come together. The longer version, the first thing you absolutely need to do is quit comparing your situation to others. Your path is unique to you. Everything will happen when it is supposed to happen. How do I know? Here is a brief timeline. At 24, I was in management at the same job I had since college. I was working 12-hour days, 6 days a week. I had zero money. Everything went to car payments, credit cards, and student loans while still living at home. I was doing okay. I even had the opportunity to meet someone special, and it was the best summer ever. At 25, everything fell apart. I lost that job. The girl went back to school, and I ruined that friendship. I was still broke and single. By about 27, I landed a great job, finally had some money, and made up for lost time with the ladies. My heart and life were the happiest. I was also back in school to get a second degree because my initial degree was worthless, resulting in more student loan debt. By my 30s, I met the woman I eventually married and built a family with. I finished school and started a new career trajectory. Story 56. Quality or quantity has always been my focus. Much of it falls on you as a man because most of us are not approached by women. So some of it requires effort and determination to find a good match for yourself. This means you have to be more social and use those skills to make new acquaintances. If you can make male friendships, you can make female friendships. However, if you are only interested in women for sexual reasons, you will struggle to find a mate for a longer time. Additionally, if your male friends do not have female friends, your social circle becomes repetitive and less useful. Story 57. I had a glow-up at 25. The difference in attention I get from women is like day and night. I was introverted and had a creepy vibe because I didn't know how to handle average social situations. I started going to the gym, taking boxing classes, getting a new wardrobe, and grooming myself. I didn't do this because I wanted success in dating. I just wanted to change myself and be happy with myself. That was the key. Because I didn't force myself to get to know women, I got used to speaking with them without intention. Once I became less socially awkward, I started to pick up hints that some women were interested in me. In the end, it all comes down to working on yourself and not forcing it. Everything else will follow. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.